right, everyone. Again, this is Scott here, and I get to talk today with Nick Hansinger. And we're talking today on the topic, Nick, about who are you and what are your passions and why you should live with your passions. So welcome to the show, Nick.
Thanks so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Awesome. So, yeah, I just want to basically let the viewers know a little bit about you, and I have some really cool questions for you that I think will really help, because one of the aspects that I wanted to bring you in on is when we met about a month ago now, I felt that you were somebody who has a lot of passion, and I think that there's a lot of people that are watching this show right now that could really use the infusion of passion. that could really say, okay, well, you know, what's this passion thing all about, and how can I really live with more passion? But you come from a point of view of a lot of different elements, including music, that I'd love to just discuss with you, and let's weave it in a way that there's going to be some takeaways, and I know there will be for the audience, so that they can really just embrace the knowledge and information and the heart behind you, Nick. And
yeah, sounds great.
awesome. Cool. So, Nick, you're a professional, and would you let us know just a little bit about your actual business and what you do, and just, you know, what you and Donna also do together?
Sure. Donna owns a yoga studio right now, and I've been a yoga teacher for several years, and I've really enjoyed a lot about that. But it was a little limiting for me in a certain way, and so at a certain point, I just decided, hey, this coaching thing seems really cool, so let me start to explore that. And that was where I really hit my niche of what I'm really excited about, and that's helping people and just getting with people in one-on-one and having a great conversation and starting to ask some different questions for people. So, and through coaching, you know, that's a part for me that just is, I'm so passionate about that. So that's the reason I got into teaching yoga in the first place, was to have an impact in people's lives and give them some tools to help to move the needle in some way or another. And I just found that there's so much more power and so much more ability to do that through direct coaching rather than in a group class setting or something like that. So as I'm building out my business as a coach, I'm having a blast doing it, and I'm really getting in touch with, you know, what was most important to me when I set about that journey anyway.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. And when I met you, it just felt like, hey, here's a guy that's living in his sweet spot. And you and your partner, Donna, both, yeah, I just felt that, you know, these people are people that are really just alive, and you just had so much to offer. We were sitting beside each other at this conference, and it was just like, wow, these people have so much to offer me, and I felt vice versa. You know, just when that energy is there, when the passion's there on similar things. Can you describe that when you're in an atmosphere where passion seems to be able to live and thrive? Can you describe that and how it might look?
Yeah, no, it's tough to describe. You know, it's tough to put words to it, because it is a very much a felt kind of a thing. But for me, I just know in my experience, I've spent a lot of time being around in my career as a musician, as well as my career in orchestra management and things along those lines. Is I've been around a lot of situations that were exactly not that, where people are a drain and nobody seems really happy or excited about anything. They're just kind of running the rat race and just doing their thing, and they do that until they can live for the weekend or live for 5 o'clock or whatever it is that they're trying to get to. And it just is so unfulfilling. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when I get around and especially a room like that, like the room that we were in was supercharged because everybody had invested to be there. There was people that were just really excited and really open, and really willing to take a much bigger step. And so there's an energetic lift around that. For me personally, it just feels like, you know, I guess when I'm in it by myself, I feel lonely, and I start to think like, I don't know if I can do this. You know, it's all me. I'm all out there all by myself. I'm trying to spread this message. I don't know what to do, and all that. But when I'm around a group of people like that and like-minded people and dealing with similar struggles and sharing what's happening and gaining some tools and some information to help move us forward, I just feel a sense of possibility and a sense of expansion that I would have never got anywhere else.
Oh, for sure. And let's give a shout out to Ted McGrath right
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Passion.
Passion, that's right.
Passion.
And the conference that we were at was the Coaching Leadership Academy in San Diego. And one of the things that I totally stepped in with that was just his attitude that just like helped me get to that next point where I was just, okay, I buy it. Some of the things that he shared were, of course, things that we read about in books, but we could read all that we like, Nick, and we can read all the best books that might be out there by all the best authors that might be out there. But there's a point in our lives where we have to say, okay, I'm choosing to step in. And that's what I feel that I did. And as a result of going to the Coaching Leadership Academy and doing some of these things, I'm building these connections with people like yourself, Nick. And I've said, okay, well, I know that I've gone 80%. I can feel what 80% means to me. I know what it is. It's like I could easily go 80% now, and I guess that's somewhat of a great thing because you can go 80% of the way and still feel like, okay, well, you know what it feels like. But the best things happen when you take that big step from 80% zone into the 100% zone and then just go 100% of the way. Right. And when you give it all and when you give your heart. And that's why we're doing this show, Nick. We're doing this show because I feel at the heart of my heart that my gift and my calling is to help people connect with their authentic, amazing self so that they can live with passion and have abundance in their life. And am I crazy to believe that?
I don't think you're crazy at all. I think that's genius, like that's the thing of all things, that everybody should connect with because if you just think about it logically as well, it's like when you connect with that and you feel inspired and you feel lifted up and you get more energetic and enthusiastic about what you're doing, that's just that much more that you have to share, right? There's that much more positive energy in the world that we're passing around and that we're helping to inspire other people. And I think that is absolutely the most important thing, not only from an economic perspective of trying to, inject more growth into the economy, more energy, more sharing, more giving and everything like that, but also from a spiritual perspective of people tapping into themselves in a way that's much more meaningful and much more profound so that they can really start to grow personally. That's how we shift consciousness, is by seeing ourselves in a different light and pulling out those things and living from that space. And like you said, the 80% is not so hard. It's hard enough. 80% is challenging, but you get there and maybe you get to that 80% and you feel good. Okay, like I did it. The 80% is cool. Like I did it. I feel good about myself. I feel solid. But there is that other part where it starts to get kind of uncomfortable and where we start to really stretch ourselves in a different way. And that's the place where the most profound growth always happens too. Whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing this forever, that's the place that they all talk about is like, when do we start to stretch ourselves in a way that really starts to take us to the next level and that makes us uncomfortable and helps us to look at ourselves from a different way, because nobody's looking at themselves from a different way when they're really comfy. It's when we start to really bake some things down and really start to push some buttons, and stretch ourselves in ways that we wouldn't have thought we could or should. That's when the magic happens. So, I think it's genius, man. And I'm inspired by, knowing you and by being a part of this. Just somebody else out there, a kindred spirit, really going for it, that space. There's nothing else like it in the world.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I want to bring us back to the why. Because I couldn't do this without that extra partnership, like with people like you and getting that what I felt was inspiration that I needed to just take that next step from people like Ted and just other people that I feel are mentors in my life. And that book that I have of just things that I've learned from people that I've considered as mentors. And all of those people that have come alongside of me, and also I have to confess the people that I've actually sought out to come alongside of me along the process. Can you share about your life? Because you didn't just get to where you are today, and the attitude and the things that you're sharing with me are so profound. You didn't just get to that place by yourself. Can you share about some of your mentors and some of the things that helped you get to the why of what you're doing right now?
Yeah, there's two parts of that story actually. The first one was when I was, as a musician, I I really enjoyed music. I love the creative process. I love being in that. And then through those connections, I actually landed a job in administration for the Detroit Symphony. I worked as the assistant personnel manager. So I did that, and it was great because I got to be around people I loved, and I got to be around great music, and a really fantastic community. But I was just not really doing what I felt was most important. And as any other, like any nonprofit, you're undervalued. And they just don't have the dough to pay for what you're worth. So after 10 years of that, I got to a point where I was really looking and asking some new questions, like, is this my life? Is this my career? Am I really going to do this? And I remember the moment when it happened. I had gone through a pretty dark period of just kind of not going up to work. I don't know if you saw Office, where he's just like, I just don't show up. I did that. Didn't last too long. It was where I just kind of didn't go and didn't talk to anybody. And out of that, though, we finally that instituted a meeting, and they were asserted very clearly that we'll give you a little bit of money, but you're going to have to do what we say, and you're really going to have to step it up in a different way with your new responsibility, and basically just saying, this is it, don't ask for anything more. And when I walked out of that meeting, that was the question of questions, is that, am I willing to live my life on somebody else's terms? It's an absolute, unequivocal, resounding no. No way. No way would I do that again. And within a few months, I was out of that job. It was maybe four months or so it took me to strategize to get in that. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Well, I know how to teach yoga. I'll go teach yoga. Did that, I definitely did not. If I had to do it over again, I think I would think that through in a different way. Maybe strategize a little bit better, but I just made the leap of faith. I just knew that I'm excited. The thing that I love most about my job there was being able to connect with musicians and sit down with them and help them get what they needed to do their best, to be their best, to show up on stage in their best, and to have an awesome orchestra with great relationships within the orchestra and everything like that, and to always be bringing in the best of people. So that was what I loved about it. The things I didn't love were things that I didn't really want to be involved with anyway, the administration, the contract, blah, 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 all that stuff. So I just took the very best of that and applied it into the classroom, into a yoga class. And to me, what I love most about that, I'm finding for me, like that was the common thread, is the creative experience of that. Whether you're a musician or whether I was, having conversations with people, or teaching a yoga class, very creative experience of just being in the now and connecting with people. And that was a powerful moment. It was deciding to live life on my own terms. There were a lot of things in my life that were not right. And one of those was a relationship that I had been in for a long time that really was not healthy for either of us. And I showed up at a yoga training, and there was a person there that asked me a new question. Really, and her question, this was very simple: what are you doing to yourself? But she knew. She was really intuitive, and she knew, and she could say that to me, and I got it, right away. And I was like, I don't know, but I just know that this isn't right. And I went and there were so many things in that, but ultimately what that came down to was me again living my life, in order to make somebody else happier, to hold on to my idea of what I thought it was supposed to be. And that was the moment there when I really decided to matter. And that was the game changer of all, right? Because you can live life on your own terms and go do whatever you want, and that's all nice and that's wonderful. Have a great life. But when you decide to matter, you won't really connect with the inspiration and the real creativity and everything like that. And so that was it. And that was my next step from there, was to teach yoga for a few years and then start building a coaching business out of that. And there again, all those little things start to come back up. You start to see those common threads. You get comfortable for a while, and then somebody asks a new question, and it's like, oh, now I have to think. And that was a blessing, right? Because now I'm able to share this and share my ideas and help coach people in a really much more personal way into what's most important for them, and really feeling like they're showing up in their best and tapping into their potential. And I just love that more than anything. That's where I feel most inspired.
Oh man, that's so awesome. And I appreciate that you told us a bit about your story and the pit of your story. the hard part. Sometimes that's the hard part to, it's and people sometimes just want to hear that the baby was born and that it was this weight and that it's healthy and mom is healthy too. And that's all they want to know, right? They don't want to know about the hard part. And along those pit moments, if you will, that you actually had, can you name a few people, not that you have to name them out loud, can you identify that there were people along those paths that helped you, or was it your inspiration and determination to get through, or what got you through those pit moments?
Combination for me. There's always, on my part, it's a willingness to step in. Like, I'm a really willing person, and once I really connected with the idea of what personal growth is about and what how important that is in everything that we do, that was what really inspired me to keep stepping in, to just keep showing up. Right? You just keep showing up. You go to an event, you go to wherever, you show up on a phone call, whatever it is. Keep showing up because it's so important, and then putting it out there to really make lasting connections. And for sure, there have been people like Donna. She's so wonderful. I can't honestly say that I would be as productive or as as inspired and doing the things that I'm doing without her inspiration and her little nudges here and there. She's really good at that. And I make that point to keep connecting with people. With Ted, I had some yoga teachers. One of those in particular, Lisa Pascal, who was just really, she was the one that asked the new question, and I've kept in close contact with her. She's been a really important part of my life for a long time. And those last relationships, like, that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in hooking up with anybody else who's not interested in growing themselves. And so when I attract that around me and I start to find some of those people in my life, man, those are dear friends. Those are kindred spirits. Even if you don't talk for months, you connect again. Yeah. And it's like you never were apart, and you pick it right up, and then you start to figure out what's going on, and then you start to grow together again. And it's just such an amazing journey. So those are a few people. There have been a lot, because I'm big on connecting with people, and I just believe that's one of the most important tools for growth is our shared inspiration, our shared knowledge and wisdom and everything that we can help move each other forward.
That's so awesome. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
This might be the hardest one. Not for you maybe, but for some of the people that are watching right now. I've coached many people, and I'm sure that there are people that when I say this question will be like, hey, that's my question, I want to know that answer, that are listening right now. There are a lot of people right now that feel in some ways that they're flatlined. Their life is living on default. But they're making money, and they're doing what they need to do to provide for their family in whatever way they feel that they need to. And they have an idea and they have a passion in some way, but they don't think that they can do it because that would mean that they wouldn't be able to provide. What would you say to somebody that had that type of question or that kind of attitude?
Well, the first question I ask, what are you providing? What are you really interested in providing, and what's most valuable? I understand the basics of a lifestyle for sure. You need to have food and clothing and shelter and everything like that. I get that. Okay, so we can provide that. You can figure that part out. But what's most important? When you talk about really providing a child, I don't have a child of my own. I just know through my relationship with Donna and how I've watched her be a parent. One of the most important things that I can imagine and that I can see that was transferred was here's Donna. Here's a person who took chances, who made a real effort to live from a place that was really meaningful to her, and to put something out into the world that meant something, to her, and that she felt passionate about, and to go do that, and I just think that that's the most important thing, is what are we modeling to one another? And yeah, you can, okay, great, you modeled that. A lot of parents have modeled that, what it is to stay. We stuck it out, we stayed together. That's awesome, and there's nothing wrong with that. but you may have modeled to your kids what it is to just be in a relationship on total flatline, unconnected, disconnected, not passionate about anything and anything like that. Uh, and that reflects, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that's going to reflect in your job too. You go there, you go through the motions and whatever. And what your kids learn from that is dad and mom did their job and they got through it. That's cool, right? They did. They're survivors. That's nice. But really, if we're going to talk about really thriving, if we're really going to talk about turning this place around in a meaningful way, that's going to take people who are passionate and excited about what they're doing and really connected and doing something that's meaningful to them and really taking their strengths and sharing them with the world and their gifts, because that's where the best stuff comes from. So about you don't have to do it all. You don't got to do it like me. I quit my job and bought a house on the same day. The same day. I don't even know what I was thinking. I just did right. I don't know. Definitely not at the same way again. But you don't have to do it like that. There's smart ways to do it, and there's people that can coach you through it and coach you through that process to help you make the right choices so that you don't have to make the same mistakes and so that you can collapse your own learning curve. And the more willing that you are to just show up and to start to take that and to make those relationships and invest in yourself in a meaningful way, the more able you're going to be able to open up those doors of opportunity, and you're going to live from a space that you would have never thought possible. And that I can just say that for myself, like, this is a place for me that I never thought possible. If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd say you're totally insane. No way. But here I am.
Awesome, man. That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, Nick, it's been so incredible just to connect with you here, and your words have just, I'm sure, have impacted and have resounding messages and meaning for so many people that are watching this show right now. And if you want to find out where Nick is, you can go to authenticthoughts.com, and if you want to connect with him on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/nick.hansinger.
Yeah, please get part of the conversation, ask some questions. I just love making connections like that. So please come check me out, and love to make a connection like that.
That's amazing. All right, Nick, it's been amazing having you here, and I just thank you so much for living in passion yourself and sharing your wisdom about living with passion with everybody else.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.